Move it, move it! One side, coming through! I'm running food and supplies to the miners. Don't pay much, but they let me sit by the fire in the inn most nights. I'm late, gotta run!
I work for the Wind Peak Inn. We should head on inside.
Being awake is so dull.
What are you staring at?
Got something to say?
Hmm?
The Wind features the finest bard in all of Dawnstar. Me.
Yes?
Thank you again for all you've done.
Oh, do you need a room? Here, take a look at this for details. Here, take a look at this. Some of the Jarl's men came by and left us bounty litter. Mm-hmm.
Sorry if my father seems a bit distracted. A lot's happened.
We've stopped. What is it? Gladly. Forests protect us. Have you heard of the great apes of Valenwood? They wear capes and have titles and speak with haughty accents. They also eat rodents.
I work in the mine just like everyone else.
Need something?
Yet, that dagger was as fresh as codling. Forged maybe 3 weeks before we left dock, and not a sign of rust.
That's an amazing story, Frick. But it's not verifiable without some sort of written proof.
Yes?
Maybe if
The
you had
trees
the
are
dagger in
different.
question.
It takes a while to get your footing, but the real problem
I
is the spacing.
appreciate the
Not
tale
even the birds can
nonetheless.
make that leap.
If I ever want to hear more stories of the open sea, then you'll be the first person I ask.
As you wish.
Ah, well met, traveler. Is there something I can help you with? Oh, that. Frick was trying to sell me another of his tall tales. I told him the facts don't support his story. Which is really just another way of saying I don't believe him. But I am extremely interested in sailor folklore. That's what I've come to Dawnstar to study. Well, this is an interesting find you have here. Very, very interesting. You may not know this, but for years Wanderer's Rest has been a mapmaker's joke. That's because it doesn't exist. You see, there... Legend has it that the High King, when looking at the map, demanded to know where the road went. The mapmaker, of course, told the High King the road didn't go anywhere. But the king insisted the mapmaker was wrong. After all, there were taxes being used to fund the upkeep of these roads, and jobs that demanded on that up. There had to be a reason for it all. The road had to lead somewhere, so the mapmaker took his quill and made a dot on the map. That place was called Wanderer's Rest. In other words, one's final resting place. Because chances were, anyone who walked that road was never coming back. Well, there's actually 2 legends regarding Wanderer's Rest. It just so happens that the one about the mapmaker is more popular. Probably because it's the more interesting story of the 2. The other legend tells of an old tomb where an ancient brotherhood buried their dead. They always do. Whether that's an exaggeration, I do not know. But it's common practice to be buried with one's belongings. It would certainly explain the need for secrecy. Supposedly, the passage is only open to true brothers, members of this Order of Nightblades. I'm just a man with a love of history. The stories of old are like a vintage wine. They only get better with time. Mostly because over time, the facts get obscured, or sometimes even changed. And it's that subtle balance, that waltz between wonder and disbelief, that makes hunting the truth all the more captivating. Well, truth is, the legend of Wanderer's Rest isn't something you'll find in any textbook. I only know of it because a friend of mine told me the stories, poems really, of warriors without form. But if you could somehow enter the tomb, and find tangible evidence of its existence, that would be worth something. He said the way will open for a brother and a pilgrim, but I would find him and ask him yourself. The problem is, he's a bit of a lout, and the other day the Jarl's men came by and put a bounty on his head. I suggest you hurry to Winterhold, lest the bounty hunters find him first. As for me, I need to tend to some business in High Rock, but I will return to Skyrim in a fortnight, hopefully with payment for services rendered. For now, I wish you good luck. This is an exciting discovery, and I pray to Julianos it will be a satisfying one. Some say they were Nightblades, swift as the steed, and masters of spell and sword. Of course, history has a way of romanticizing the past. They might have been nothing more than thieves and mercenaries.
Damn that alchemist. Bonebreak fever. Could a woman with bonebreak fever do this? I know my back is a little bit crooked, but it's as strong as an ox. Aye, fresh air and exercise. You know how it is. Neither of us can stay cooped up for long. Did you find any work at the inn? Sound like an adventure, and if that's the case, I ought to come with you. It's almost like I can hear Salene's voice in my head, telling me to stop wasting time with small bounties. So if you're headed to Winterhold, then I'm right behind you. You'd be the first. Most people don't show me that kind of respect, so I'm thankful for your words.
I've been looking for you. Got something I'm supposed to deliver. Your hands only. I've been looking for you. Got something I'm supposed to deliver. Your hands only. Let's see here. I've got a letter and a lot of gold. Something about it being your, inheritance. Oh, and sorry for your loss. Looks like that's it. Got to go.
There is already someone with you. I don't want to get in your way, or theirs.
Are we heading out? I'll be at Half Moon Mill if you need me. I've grown rather fond of that place.
I won't let you down.
Azura's wisdom to you, friend.
That depends. Got any ale or mead? Great. I'll take it as soon as I finish with the 8 or so hundred I ordered from the innkeeper. What can I do for you? Yeah, I heard about that. 300 gold to kill some drunk over at Wind Peak Inn with brown hair, thick beard, and a pair of grabby hands. As you can clearly see, we're in a renter hold, so obviously I don't match that description. Well, I've only been studying it all my life, except for when I'm studying to read his melons. That requires my full attention. Well, there's no winches in this tavern. Dogger needs to buy his wife some skimpier clothes. Or hell, put Dogger in a dress for all I cared. Drink enough ale and even the hawker start to look like Elisif the Fair.
I understand.
Too late. Like I said, mounds that shapely require my complete and undivided attention.
I believe he was suggesting their presence causes him harm.
Well, if you want my expert opinion, I'd say that journal of yours is filled with words. Some words are more important than others, while others are just there to tie the important ones together. Crazy, I know, but it's true. There's big words and there's long words, and they're not always the same thing. But there's no mistaking it. It's definitely filled with words. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go outside and vomit.
Now here's a man I'm glad to see.
Those mere toenails. Can I...
What's that?
Bastard!
But they would have killed you if we didn't stop them. You're mad.
Be careful. May the gods watch over your battles, friend.
Someone there?
Come and face me, monster. Come on, my shield against your sword.
May the gods watch over your battles, friend.
You're mad.
With the Empire's help, Winterhold will be back on its feet in no time.
Ismir, turn! Come and face me, monster!
That's your best, huh?
But they would have killed you if we didn't stop them. You're mad. Heal! didn't stop them.
Asmir's told.
What was that?
Watch over your battles, friend.
You're mad.
Alright, I admit it. I'm grateful to the both of you. I just don't want to show it because I can't afford to pay back. Let me see that. Bandit on the shore, men walking out of the ocean. Wanderer's Rest. So you know about the tomb. What do you need from me? Is that all? Old Gansey never could figure it out, huh? All brains and no mead. It's like any party, you just need to invite yourself in. Of course, it doesn't work if you don't have an invitation, meaning we're gonna need a corpse.
I take it not just any corpse will do?
You're a sharp one. Wait a minute, aren't you that merc who got raw with Forkmar?
I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, you're that one who punches funny. Kept messing with your fist, but ended up cracking in the nose with your elbow.
You were saying about the corpses?
Alright. Has to be a member of the guild. Lucky for you, I think I know where you can find one of these dead spell swords, so long as you're up for a little grave robbing. You mean you wanted to see the ritual to the end? I was just thinking of finding this corpse and dumping it as soon as we got in. But your way works too. No, that's the beauty of it. It's the names are pesky little skeevers. They get people talking about you. They get the law hunting you. Kind of like my name on a bounty letter. But if you don't have a name, you don't have a history. At least one people can write down. But keeping their little guild secret is not really the point. The whole no-name thing comes from not wanting to be labeled. They ain't swordsmen and they ain't spellcasters. They're nothing and everything all at once. They don't exist. I've always liked discovering things. I'm like a kid peering through the cracks in the wall to see what the adults are doing. It's sort of like that, but different. As far as I know, they are mercenaries, but like I said, records on them are spotty as the Khajiits do know what. I mean, think about it. Guilds like this, they don't just work for coin. There's got to be some religious aspect to it. Especially if they're burying their dead in some sacred tomb. It's just not normal. Why else? For the women. Way ahead of you. I'm just saving it for the cover of my book. I'm gonna call it Dark Steel. Sure, ask away. Well, not every brother makes it to the Wanderer's Rest. There's always a few exceptions who manage to die of old age. People like that are usually surrounded by family members who don't know any better but to bury you in the Hall of Dead. So I've been going from hold to hold checking out the corpses to see if any of them have the mark. Seeing as Winterhold Cemetery is halfway down the ocean, Windhelm's all that's left. Some kind of brand or tattoo that's symbolic of being a Nightblade. They say it's marked so deep it colors the bone. There was a moon and an axe. No, wait. A sword, I think. I'm having a hard time remembering. But little meat always jostles memory. Yeah, I'll know when I see it.
Sound like a hypocrite for saying this, but that man looks nothing like a scholar.
Yes? All right, then.
Got some fresh baked bread and good cheese if you're after a bite to eat.
Get your thieving hands off that!
Come quietly or taste the Jarl's justice. You have committed crimes against Skyrim and her people. What say you in your defense? Oh, forgive me, Thane. I didn't realize it was you. We'll look the other way this time. But even the Jarl's influence has its limits. Be more careful.
Give me another drink, Elder. I'm still seeing double.
The Argonians by the dock is a travesty.
What are you, my mother? Wait, are you? Well, you couldn't be. You're too sober to be family.
Ugh, forget the drunk. We can do this on our own, now that we know the corpse is branded. And even if there's more than one, we can narrow it down by the weapons they're buried with. Spellsword will never carry a warhammer or a shield. We can always come back to the inn to make sure. Trust me, it'll be faster than waiting for this one to sober up.
Have yourself a sweetie treat.
I'm a sailor on the North Wind. We're laying over in Windhelm for a while.
But it's just to get good tips.
You look familiar. Do you by chance owe me any money? Do you ever wonder if gray clouds are just white ones that got old?
Name's... I'm the cook up at Candlehearth Hall.
How can I help you?
Let's
asked
split up and see
Valiant
what
to
we
have
can
the
find.
bodies sent back to Cyrodiil. We should be home.
Damn, this one doesn't have any markings either. Any luck on your end? Good. I was beginning to think that drunk took us for fools, but we'd better check with him and make sure it's the right one.
Large diagonal cut from left shoulder.
I'm a sailor on the North Wind. We're laying over in Windhelm for a while.
It's a good thing, too. I'm just sober enough to where I might be of some use. See here, sore on the hand, as black as midnight. That's a nightblade, all right. Literally and figuratively.
We should get going. I'd rather not spend another minute in this place after what we've done.
I know. That bard nearly chopped off my balls for stumbling into her chest.
I was talking about the bodies we defiled.
So was I.
Are you coming with us this time, or shall we meet at Wanderer's Rest?
Well, this time I'm coming along. No way I had to travel that road alone. You two can lead the way.
just stops at the dead end.
It's only what you see. Never bother to try walking into the mountain. Of course, even then you'd be walking blind half the time in a circle of grass.
So how does this cadaver help us get inside?
There's a brazier outside the entrance. Just burn the bloody thing with smoke clear our heads. Then we guide the spirits to its resting place. At least that's what I think happens.
And how do you know all this?
Years of research. And a few drunken epiphanies. I don't know what we'll find inside, but I imagine this is only the first part of the burial. I mean, the body may be gone, but we probably want us to guide its soul to its brothers. Although why would anyone choose this place over ᵯᴑᴆᴆᴇᴆ is beyond me. The Nightblades are half wizards, and wizards are always half crazy.
Loyalty is more important than any paradise. It doesn't matter where you go when you die, but who's there waiting for you.
If you say so. Well, this is disappointing. Lifetime of work for this narrow little tunnel.
You've never been inside the cave before, have you? This is just the entrance. It opens up further down.
We have to walk some more? It's even worse.
There were 4 of us, all told, sailing on that ship. When one of my brothers died, we vowed to deliver him here. But when the Sea of Ghosts took our ship, and the winter claimed our bodies, that promise was nearly broken. Now I am all that's left, and I must bury 3 instead of 1. And what is your story? Whose spirit will you lay to rest? It's not often outsiders are allowed in this place, but as long as the way opens, then you are welcome. When a body is burned, the Watcher sees it in the fire below and opens the way. That is how you enter this temple. But your role as bearer is not yet finished. You must still guide the spirit to the main hall, where it is reborn as a guardian warrior.
Spirit, I don't see anything.
The spirit you burn walks among you, lighting the path ahead, but it cannot stray from the bearer. Once it reaches the throne room, the spirit will renew its oath, the first chosen, and be reborn. You must be careful not to disturb this process.
In other words, look but don't touch. It's like every tavern wench I've ever met. Save for that one in Warthall.
Just try to behave for once in your life, Lorne.
Easier said than done.
They say we began as thieves and assassins. Nightblades, they called us. But in the beginning there were only 2, Daenerys and his chosen. Over time, the Order grew, each chosen learning how to master the art of shadow and illusion. But Daenerys wanted more. He spent his days secluded, praying to dark forces, sending his brothers to death for relics without a name. As his obsession deepened, he sought Nocturnal's favor, and commanded his chosen to steal Azura's star. But Azura was the god of the first chosen, and so on the 21st of First Seed, he led a coup against his master. It is from that betrayal and Azura's gratitude that our brotherhood was born. I don't know. Some say the first chosen took pity on the founder. Others say he refused to curse himself as a kinslayer. But to let Daenerys go was to defy Azura, so he and 2 of his pupils sacrificed their own lives as a measure of atonement. When it was done, they were reborn as spirits in this temple. Whether her boon was meant as a blessing or a curse, only she knows. But in the centuries since, each member of our brotherhood has undergone the same rites to join them. For us, it is truly an honor. Yes, the founder, Daenerys, wanted to make a guild that would bridge the gap between the Thieves' Guild and the Dark Brotherhood. The first mortal he chose was a 9-fingered man named Varian, a common thief, but the most skilled of all the chosen. So when he sought Azura's star, he trusted Varian, and Varian alone, with stealing it. He had never chosen more wisely. It goes back as far as the days of Pelagius. Times of war and madness tend to bring out the best and worst of us. The story of our brotherhood is proof of both. If you wish to learn more of our history, I suggest you walk the path and talk with those who lived it. None of us joined. We were chosen. My mentor Azarek recruited me when I was but a pup. And as his chosen, it was my responsibility to bring him here. My other companions, Fram and Logrin, they were too young to have chosen a brother. But as witness to their deaths, I must deliver them as well. You need only walk the path and see for yourself. You may watch the ceremony, but be careful not to step onto the dais. The brothers will not allow you to approach the first chosen. To do so is considered an open threat to the sanctity of this temple, which Azura herself is said to have provided us. I did indeed. The sky promised steady winds that day, but Kynareth was in a bad mood, and she always has the last word. The ship was about to capsize when Fram got the idea to put on the heavy plate armor that we had retrieved from a group of pirates. Because while the sea raged on above, the waters below were quiet as a shadow. We walked what must have been 1,000 yards, and came rising out of the shore, with the corpse of our brother draped over our shoulders. We didn't. We used alteration magic. Water breathing, to be specific. A sailor's best friend. But even though we outfoxed Kynareth, Old Man Winter still had his say. The mark granted to all those who joined the Brotherhood, and a tribute to the first chosen who painted their fingers black in a show of solidarity. They say the ink itself holds a magical property, taken from the sap of an eldergleam, and boiled over the ceremonial brazier below. As the ink is scarce, most, like myself, have had the mark branded by that very fire. Supposedly it sears the very bone. It certainly felt that way.
Don't bugger right now. I'm trying to take mental notes in my head. It's not an easy thing to do when you're pissed drunk.
Varian and his chosen sacrificed themselves in this very sanctuary, and their disciples carried on the Brotherhood. ᵯᴑᴆᴆᴆ sacrificed his life to appease Azura. The Moon Shadow replied. She would lend him and his chosen the power to keep the watch.
Before the coup, Orion's chosen painted a single finger black and showed support for the man they would follow. Over time, the blackened finger took on the shape of a dagger, and the mark took on a variety of forms, from ink to fire. Orion's origins were never known to any of us. He was as common a thief as any. Many wondered why he was first chosen.
Orion stopped his master, dressed in deadly pain, and sank his knife into Daenerys' back before the Wicked One could cast his defense.
It is the relationship between the Mentor and the Chosen that keeps the Brotherhood strong. Just as Orion betrayed Daenerys, he knew the same fate could befall him. So brothers were chosen for their loyalty first, and their characters second.
Don't bugger right now. I'm trying to take mental notes in my head. It's not an easy thing to do when you're pissed drunk.
Orion could not kill Daenerys, and this was his failing. The Founder was banished from the Brotherhood and died without renown.
Some believe it was not Azura, but Boethia who answered Orion's plea. Or only a betrayer heeds the call of one who betrays.
Guide the spirit forward, but do not step on the dais. The bearers shall not interfere with the ritual.
If you step on the dais, you will not leave this temple. For all who threaten ᵯᴑᴆ, the first chosen, will die at our hands.
Tell us your name and the one who chose you.
His name was ᵯᴑᴆᴆᴇᴆ. He chose me as his brother and shrouded my finger in darkness so that I may one day return.
And now you will join him here. Are these the bearers of your chosen?
They are strangers to the way, but worry not, for I have chosen long ago a boy with great talent, but one whose future is uncertain.
Who is this child? Perhaps I've heard of his coming.
His name is ᵯᴑᴆ Dancer, Turncloak, and Kinslayer.
Daenerys, you are not welcome here, brother.
I am brother to no one. I am the father of this guild, and I will wreak vengeance upon all its false sons.
Wait, what are you doing?
What happened?
Well, this is the fire mess you've got us into.
I was trying to stop them.
You stepped on the dais, you clumsy oaf. That pressure plate is there for a reason. Call me crazy, but I don't think calling it an accident will satisfy the army out there waiting for us. In fact, I'm getting out of here before they figure out what you did.
Wait! Damn that drunk. He'll probably pin this on us. We better chase after him.
get out of here before the place collapses. Just barely went accepted. But I believe you have some explaining to do. My brothers were sworn to defend that temple, but as spirits, they often do not distinguish between the victims and the guilty. I, on the other hand, will allow you the chance for a trial. Choose your defense, blade or tongue. Daenerys, but his corpse bears no mark. How is that even possible? Is it possible that Daenerys' vassals wormed their way into the Order? Or was it one of my brothers blinded by his skill? Whoever it is, he was too much of a coward to bear the corpse himself. The only question is whether his gambit succeeded. If Daenerys underwent the rite of passage, he would be reborn. We can only hope that existence is forever trapped inside the temple. I was wrong to judge you harshly, friend. It seems you are just another victim of Daenerys' wickedness. My blood yearns to boil, but right now, I know only grief. I thought I had brought my brothers peace, only to find their souls in turmoil once more. Here, take this dagger. When I have finished mourning, I will return for it. And on that day, if somehow Daenerys still lives, then I will join your ranks, and we will hunt him together. You bestow honor upon me, but you haven't actually seen me fight. Perhaps when I've recovered, I will find a way to do your words justice. For now, safe travels.
Divines bless you.
Yes?
You've got excellent timing. I just returned to Skyrim this morning. I do say the accommodations here are far better than in Dawnstar. How did things go with Lorne? Did you find the way to Wanderer's Rest? That's unfortunate. I take solace, though, in knowing he died doing what he loved most. Well, second most, at the very least. Were you able to procure an artifact from the ruins? Remarkable! I'm sure there's some sort of enchantment attached, but I'll have to have someone in Winterhold take a look. As promised, here is your reward. I suppose that concludes our business, but let me know if there's anything else you need. Yes, Darksteel is what Lorne used to call them. If anyone had the authority to name them, it was him.
You know, I had to retire and leave you to run the skeever, son.
You
just spend your time here bossing me around and yelling for more drinks. You're practically retired already.
I could run the skeever. You even said
So, history didn't romanticize these warriors. They did it themselves. Maybe there's even hope for the Dark Brotherhood.
She runs a bar, and you said she's one of your favorite girls.
Oh, brother.
Daenerys. Now that name does sound familiar. Although I'm not sure it wasn't one of Lorne's drunken ramblings.
I'm so glad we got to have it. I thought
He
for
was
sure
publishing a
Elizabeth would
book,
never consent.
if I recall correctly, but he was famously secretive when it came to his notes. Most of my peers assumed it was just an excuse, and that he really didn't have any notes at all. But I know Lorne. He kept it somewhere. As for what he did divulge, I seem to recall one theory talking about how the entire sect was cursed by Boethia. Something about them being trapped in a cycle of betrayal. But he could never produce the evidence.
Loud customers mean good cheer, and good cheer means a full tip. You know, I had to retire and leave you to run the
I
skeever
thought so as well. Based on the anecdotal evidence, they say the founder sought a star to gain Nocturnal's favor, as the two are enemies. But Lorne was adamant it was another artifact that the Nightblades recovered. A sword that was the embodiment of the old Dunmer gods.
The Empire shouldn't have bargained with the heathens. And the guard we took bets on who
I
would be the
don't
first
know
to
if
introduce their
that's
nobles to
entirely
the
accurate. It's possible the temple began to squeeze you out of its body, like a foreign substance.
Greetings, Netta.
If there's one thing that I've learned about these sacred realms, it's that they never really go away.
Not yet. But I've been practicing, so
All
any
right.
day now.
I'll let you know if I find anything myself. But I suggest you find Lorne's notes as well.
Ooh.
I'll mark the
What are they
location
saying?
of his home on your map.
Oh,
You might want to start
no, I
there.
can't betray their confidence, just as I would never betray yours.
I'm a little busy at the moment. I've got all sorts of errands to run. La 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 la.
Oh, Beryline, we're all anxious to hear how the manhunt is going. Do tell.
Slow. Another poor farmer shot my company
May
the
the
other
gods
day.
watch over your battles,
Why
friend.
can't people stick to their own kind?
Well, dear, I hate to break it to you, because you hail from such marvelous stock, but judging by your current state, I think he was.
Yes? Leave then.
Something on your mind? Ever notice how pale the court mage is? I know Sybil never leaves the palace during the day, but that in itself is quite strange.
Hello, ladies.
And it gets stranger.
man.
She never eats. And some of the servants have reported odd noises emanating from her quarters in the dead of night. Given her penchant for hunting vampires, some of the servants think we may be dealing with a werewolf. Not that I believe anything of the sort. According to Ildi, her and the Skeever Bard have a bit of a rivalry going on. Although a rivalry typically requires two willing combatants. I'm afraid the Breton doesn't even know Ildi exists. Who would? The way she refuses to socialize with anyone. Indarie has put on quite a bit of weight in the past month. It's no wonder she's so bitter, especially when Tarie looks so fabulous. Oktiev-san saw the face of one of the 8 at the Skeever again. Today, it was the face of Julianos in his suit. Yesterday, it was Dubella's figure on a towel stain. The day before that, he saw Stendar's visage on a piece of mouldy bread. Roland refuses to dignify Oktiev's claims with a response, as he believes they're part of a scheme to pay off his gambling debts. But ᵯᴑᴆᴆᴆ is such a trusting young woman. She doesn't see that her pity only serves to reinforce his behavior. One of these days, Octiev is going to ask ᵯᴑᴆᴆ to inspect the stain of Akatosh on his undergarments. And maybe then she'll draw a line. Atta is a menacing one, isn't he? I suppose it's part of the job description. Men like that are typically kittens behind closed doors. Now Yorn is a different story altogether. He reminds me of the sort of man whose wife disappears mysteriously and all his neighbors are just shocked that he would be a suspect. You ever notice that Katla and Greta wear the exact same clothes, and the exact same hat, and the exact same face? And you never see them in the same room together. All I'm saying is, their husbands need to have a talk. Aya never used to cover her hair. Thank Dibella she does now. Her locks and her makeup were telling two different stories, and both of them awful. Let me know if you want to get anything off your chest.
I'm a little busy at the moment. I've got all
Verily,
sorts of errands
we're
to run.
all anxious to hear how the manor...
You and me, we're the only people around who aren't complete fools.
Another poor
True, I may look the part of dashing swordsman, but I prefer the art of wit to that of warfare.
Well, dear...
Hello, I'm Gisley, but you can just call me Erin.
Being old's not so bad. Daughter keeps me fed, and my working days are done.